Hello, welcome to the lifestyle segment of Women to Watch. I'm Cheri Morrison. Today, I think we will all learn to become more aware of ourselves, our intentions, attention, and attitude, or at least decide after this interview that it might be a nice gift to ourselves. I would like to introduce and welcome holistic life coach and founder of Project Mindful, Jacquie O'Malley. Welcome to the show, Jacquie.
Hi, Cheri. Welcome, and thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So, Jacquie, I think before we get too involved, I think your family life has a lot to do with how you landed in a mindful place. Please tell us a little bit about your background and education.
Yes. Okay. So my family does have a big, it was definitely a place for me to kind of work my work, to do the work that I'm doing and the healing. I grew up and I was born to teenage parents. And my mother was 17 when she had me. And my parents tried, they got married. And by the time they were 21, they were separated again. And I grew up with my grandparents and lived in a house that was pretty chaotic. It was loving, thank God. So I grew up in a loving home, but there was definitely, there wasn't a lot of effort put into emotional intelligence, right? And emotional awareness, just like a lot of us grew up. There was, excessive drinking, there was yelling to solve problems, there was racism, lack of communication. It was really just, that traditional kind of family that we grew up in. And as I was growing up in that family, I realized that there had to be a different way. There had to be something else. I just had this feeling in me. And then by the time I was 14, I had this really pivotal thing happen to me where my mom died when she was 32 and I was 14.
Mm.
And that for me was this just big shift in really trying to figure out what is the right way. Like, what is the way to live? Because I knew what I was experiencing was not, it was causing a lot of harm and discomfort.
Yeah. And then you went to school. You went off to college. You were the first in your family to go off to college. Is that correct? And
Yes.
what did you study?
Yeah, I started off with business and then went into psychology, right? No, not by chance that I went into psychology, but I wanted to kind of figure out what was going on. What was the difference between people who were successful and living like happy, fulfilled lives and, the people who weren't. So that was kind of that put me on my trajectory, I believe. So I started off a business minor and did not like the business classes. I found marketing interesting, but everything else, it was just really difficult for me. And then as soon as I went into the psychology classes, I felt like I was at home.
Oh, that's really nice. It's something really clicked for you. So
Yes.
so tell me a little bit about mindfulness. What exactly is it? What does it mean?
Okay. So mindfulness to me, and everybody has a little different definition of it.
Sure, sure.
Mindfulness for me is this idea that we are able to choose the moment we want to live. So if we allow ourselves to live in the present moment, right here, right now, without judgment and with kindness, we're going to feel more present. We're going to feel more content. We're going to feel more happy. However, it doesn't mean that we're happy all the time. That's not what mindfulness is about.
Right,
It is more about, to me, getting comfortable with uncomfortable.
right. And from what I know after we spoke, a lot of it has to do with being present and aware of yourself and your different options and choosing maybe to be in the present option versus the past or worrying about what the future brings.
Yes, exactly. And when you think about it, just how many people we know, how many times we get stuck in after thinking, the what if thinking, the to dos. Like, how many times do we write our to do list, but then we are constantly thinking about it? Like, it wasn't enough to write it. We have to constantly be going through it in our mind.
Yeah, it wears on you all of the time.
Yes. Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
After you went to college, you started your family, and right around that same time, you were going for your master's. Then you had 3 children in 3 years and a month. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I can't imagine. And you said you went through 3 to 5 years of survival mode, not thriving, and that having kids was a milestone. How did the practice of mindfulness get you back on course again?
Yeah. So anyone who has kids or is around kids would know that when you are immersed in that parenting, it can feel so overwhelming. And especially if you don't have the tools to manage emotion. Right. When you have these little kids around you and you're being pulled in one direction and you're still trying to work and you're trying to get things done during the day, it's so difficult to be able to stay in the moment. Your mind can tend to just go to the future or even to the past, thinking, I wish I was back there, or I can't believe that happened. And look at me now. And what it allowed me to do, my mindfulness practice was this thing that kind of saved me. As a mother, I thought I was going to be an amazing mother. Everything that led me up to where I was at that time, I wanted to be a mom. And then as soon as it happened, I realized I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to be the mother that I wanted to be.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. And what I realized was that I was impatient a lot of the time. I was yelling more than I wanted to. I was feeling unworthy, waking up every day with this incredible heaviness on my chest, and also wondering, why do I have it? Because it would seem to everyone else that my life was amazing.
Right. And I'm sure the classes that you were taking for your masters, which had everything to do with all of these issues, were helpful in getting you through it.
Yes, yes. Helpful, but also like what you find when you first go on this journey of kind of connecting into yourself, it can feel very overwhelming at first.
Mhm.
Very overwhelming because you start to see all the things that are wrong. You see
Yeah.
them as right, but they're
Yeah.
not wrong. They're just part of your journey,
Yeah,
right?
and the one thing you said to me that rings true through all of this was you are not your thoughts. I mean, that to me, how many times do we all get stuck in our own head about what we think we are based on our own thoughts, not real what's really going on, but just what's stuck in our head.
Oh my God. So that one for me. So I graduated from my master's program and I did great in the master's program. I totally enjoyed it. And then I was immersed into parenting immediately. And it was a shock. And I thought, I had a lot of preconceived thoughts. So when you think about where our thoughts come from, most of our thoughts come from the people who were around us when we were growing up. So we were like little sponges,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And we took in their thoughts, and this is what we call our conditioning, right? So we're conditioned to believe things about ourselves. And then when we start to figure out that maybe they don't fit right for us, then the anxiety even gets bigger because it's like, oh, I told myself this thought for so long and this isn't what I think anymore. And it starts to cause that anxiety. Sherry, how many thoughts do you think we have on average a day?
Oh my gosh, too many. I have no idea, but I know for me it's too many.
Yeah. So on average, human beings have anywhere between 40 and 60,000 thoughts a day,
Oh my gosh.
right?
That's wild.
Yes. So if we have that many thoughts, how can we be all of those thoughts?
Yeah, how do you filter through those?
Mindfulness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the tool. Mindfulness helps us to start noticing the thoughts, and then we get to ask ourselves, is this thought helping me or hurting me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, the thoughts aren't even helpful, and we just continue to have them every day over and over again. And some of them are because someone else told us that's who we're supposed to be, or that's who you are.
Well, I know you went to school in California, you took some courses, and unfortunately, we're running a little bit short on time here. Um, so I after our conversation and I reflected back on so many things that you said, I felt like so much had changed in my mind, at least for the next few hours, about the different things I was thinking about. So clearly, this is a really good place for you and you're good at it.
Yeah. I feel so fortunate because I have found my passion. I was a hotel supply salesperson. I worked in automobile supplies. I worked in publishing. And I have found that place that just really lights me up. And I feel so grateful and lucky to be able to do what I love and to help people heal.
Yeah, I know you travel around, you teach children and teachers in schools how to be mindful. Now you're focusing more on the teachers because you find that the message will travel further. If you can teach them how to teach the children to be mindful, you can have a larger territory and a bigger effect, which is wonderful.
Yes.
Um, so you operate Project Mindful in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, and you offer virtual learning for individuals and groups and in-person options for schools, organizations throughout the Philadelphia and the surrounding areas, which includes mindful coaching, mindful schools, and mindful businesses, which is churches and other organizations as well, correct?
Correct.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of June, you're going to have a program for women that will last 6 months if you sign up. It's a 6 month
Yes.
program.
6 month program where I am teaching women how to connect to their authentic selves, how to let go of fear and anxiety, and to really tap into their purpose, through all different things, through mindfulness, through spiritual practices, through journaling, through dancing, through, you know, coming in together in circle.
Yeah, and
It's,
just
yeah.
taking a breath.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and you also mentioned,
Slowing down.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I'm afraid we're out of time. I want to thank you for your time and for helping create a compassionate, peaceful, and decent world, one individual at a time.
Thank you. Yes. Like letting everybody get comfortable with uncomfortable.
Yeah, so hopefully some of you will have the courage to start this journey for yourself and maybe sign up with Jacquie. For more information about Jacquie O'Malley, Mindful Project, upcoming programs, which she also mentioned might include a few retreats, virtual and in person sessions, go to www.mindfulproject.org. Thank you again. Sue will be right back after the break. Ladies, keep living your dreams.